Fox News host and Trump bestie Sean Hannity recently said that he felt unwelcome in New York City, so he left it for Florida, where he feels much more at home.
Here's my question. Because, look, I'm perfectly fine with Mamdani winning. You want to know why? Because it's not going to impact my life. I left New York. You know why I left New York? High taxes, quality of life, crime. I had a hard time going to a restaurant in New York City because people would stare at me and hated me and they had daggers in their eyes. You know what? I'm loved down here in Florida. Now, I don't know why New Yorkers are so intolerant, but that was my life in New York. So I left. And
wait a minute, Sean,
one of the best decisions I made.
I thought you left because of Brian Cashman and the Yankees not being able to get together.
No, I like Brian Cashman, actually. I think he's a pretty good guy.
People hate hateful people. People on the so-called tolerant left also hate hateful people. Tolerance does not often extend to people who are intentionally and willfully malicious and cruel to others. Just because people on the left tend to be more tolerant of others than people on the right, it doesn't mean that we just give everyone a pass to be terrible. We won't discriminate, generally speaking, against people for things that they can't change about themselves or for things that disadvantage them on a societal level, but we will discriminate against actions and words, against the choices that people make. If you choose to be cruel, nothing in our tolerant ethos dictates that we should tolerate you.
Think we're bad for America? You think I'm bad for America?
Yeah.
You do?
In the long haul, I think you
Really?
and all these opinion shows.
That's sad, Ted.
No, you know why?
That's sad.
Because you're very good at what you do, and because you have attracted a significantly more
are selling the
influential.
American
let me
people
finish the
short.
Let me finish the sentence
I'm
before
listening.
you do that.
With all due respect.
Yes,
Take
you have attracted people who are determined that ideology is more important than facts.
So I don't feel badly that Sean Hannity and others like him might find themselves unwelcome in public spaces where he disparages not just the politics of the place, but the people themselves. For instance, largely speaking on the left, we are not advocating for families to be forcefully separated. We're not advocating for worse public education or worse healthcare or worse user and privacy protections on the internet. We're not advocating for corporations over people. We're not advocating for dirtier drinking water or fewer forests. If you disagree with the reasoning behind those positions, then fine. If you disagree with the ways in which certain policies might get implemented, then fine. Those are conversations that we can and should have. But crucially, on the left, we don't typically declare someone's humanity to be less than that of someone else's. The left is not perfect, but that seems to be the biggest difference between the two sides. After all, the right has gone so far as to outright demonize empathy. But he brought up a really interesting point. He said he was tired of the crime in New York City. New York is a major global city. It is by far the biggest city in this country. It is incredibly diverse any way you slice it, racially, economically, industrially, religiously, educationally, whatever. The city itself has some pockets that are better than others, and if you go there as a tourist, you may hear about which parts of town are fine and which ones you might want to avoid. That can be said for literally any city in the world. As for New York, The Independent pointed out, the New York City Police Department announced earlier this month, July marked the 10th straight month of declines in major crime categories. People see and feel and perceive what they want to, though. Near where I live, it is considered to be one of the safest neighborhoods, not just in Houston, not just in Texas, but in the entire country. And guess what? I know people who live in that town who sit on Facebook all day or who watch Fox News all day, and they are convinced that if they step outside of their front doors, some ambiguously brown gang member is going to come and get them. The chances of that actually happening are low as hell, but you cannot convince them otherwise. People like Trump because he makes them feel safe, because they see him being tough on crime, because they see him deploying the National Guard into American cities that he claims need his help curbing rampant violent crime. Only an idiot would think that armed soldiers in cities actually makes those cities safer, but Trump isn't actually trying to make people safer. He just wants them to feel safer, and a big part of the reason as to why they already do not feel safe is because Trump and others like him, like Sean Hannity, keep telling them that they are constantly unsafe. They are constantly, according to the Trumps and the Hannitys, at risk of being violently attacked by a terrorist or a gang member. Brown and black people across the country are coming for Trump's nice white voters, and so the only response to all of this is obviously armed soldiers in the streets of American cities. But we know that the real reason why Trump is doing what he's doing is to actually test the limits of the American Constitution and to ease Americans into accepting the presence of armed soldiers in our streets. This is straight up dictator behavior, which is why many of us have no problem saying that Trump is just a dictator now, not a wannabe dictator. The big distinctions between the two that are often cited is that one, Trump never seized power in a violent coup. And I will just leave that one there. Also, that the structure of the American government has not yet been entirely dismantled. So sure, he's left our structures in place from what we can see, but what good are they when they have been completely hollowed out? The major departments of our government have been filled with opportunistic, sycophantic loyalists to the point that they are either entirely defunct or just serving the express will of one man. Also, who cares about how he got into power if this is what he's choosing to do with the presidency once he's obtained it? Lucky for him, he didn't have to coup this country into submission. We just gave it to him. We just let him have it. And the checks and balances that were once in place to curb his worst impulses, maybe that were in place still during his first administration, they are no longer reliable or functional. Now, Trump is threatening to send the military into Chicago and Baltimore, both blue cities and blue states, neither of which asked for the presence of a National Guard. Moreover, Governor Pritzker of Illinois said that he found out about the president's intentions by reading about it in the paper like the rest of us did. Does that sound like a president who is genuinely trying to improve a city or state, who can't even be bothered to include local and state level officials in his plans for their city and state? Sounds like a takeover to me. Here is Governor Pritzker addressing the threat.
Earlier today in the Oval Office, Donald Trump looked at the assembled cameras and asked for me personally to say, "Mr. President, can you do us the honor of protecting our city?" Instead, I say, "Mr. President, do not come to Chicago." You are neither wanted here nor needed here. Your remarks about this effort over the last several weeks have betrayed a continuing slip in your mental faculties and are not fit for the auspicious office that you occupy. Most alarming, you seem to lack any appropriate concern as our commander-in-chief for the members of the military that you would so callously deploy as pawns in your ever more alarming grabs for power.
Meanwhile, here is what the National Guard has been up to in DC, where apparently the crime is so bad that the Guards people are just doing community service. What an incredible waste of taxpayer money, all for the sake of propaganda. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks.